Welcome to episode 5 of the Wrassingh Show. Today's special guest is a true pioneer in the international wrestling circuit. All the way from Finland, she revolutionized professional wrestling in the country, and she continues to break down barriers and enchant fans all across the globe with her personality, her in-ring skills, and her witchcraft. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you Regina Rosendahl. All right, Regina, thank you so much for joining us today. We are very, very excited to have you on the show. So, Regina Rosendahl, is that correct? Did I pronounce it correctly?
It's pronounced Rosendahl, but yeah, close enough.
Rosendahl, I'm sorry. Okay, well, I'm sure that a lot of people mispronounce it. Does it ever happen that you're making your entrance and somebody, says it incorrectly and you're just pissed about it?
I mean, all the time.
Really?
They can pronounce it correctly in Finland and in Sweden, and that's about it.
Okay. Do you get pissed about it?
Yeah.
Well, your nickname is also the Icy Queen of Wrestling. Can you tell me something about it? Why Icy? Does it have something to do with the Finland weather?
Well, yeah, basically because it's always cold here. So I think I'm just so icy in so many levels that it kind of fit me. So yeah, that's fine.
You have a very cool personality. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, sure.
Right. That's very cool. So you're from Finland. And, when people think of Finland, they think of a lot of things. They think of harness racing. They think of ice hockey, Santa Claus. But a very few people think of something like wrestling, It's like not a lot of people think about it. So can you tell us something about the wrestling industry in your country?
Well, we've had professional wrestling here for about 50 years now.
Okay.
And I think we're just about to have like 50 wrestlers, like active wrestlers in Finland. And that's the maximum amount that has ever been active in Finland. So we're actually doing pretty good now. Yeah, there's 2 promotions in Finland, actually.
That's very interesting. And what is the general perception of the people when it comes to wrestling?
It's getting better, but the wrestling culture is just very hard for Finnish people to understand because it's so unfinished thing to do, because Finnish people are very humble and quiet.
Right.
And so when you kind of bring this kind of like super American product in their face, it's like, there was some resistance at first, but then we kind of had to find the way to make it more approachable, I guess.
That is very cool. I mean, so the number of wrestlers in your country are like, number of wrestlers in the promotion in America. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So is it true that in Finland, wrestling is like a once in a month kind of an affair?
Yeah, yeah. I work in FCF Wrestling, so we have shows once a month approximately. Sometimes during summer we can work a bit more because we can do like festivals and such.
Right.
But yeah, once a month. That's basically how we do it.
And do you have storylines, or is it just like in-ring action?
Yeah, storylines. I think that's the most important part in wrestling, and I think that's the most important part of getting your audience to come back.
Yes.
So yeah, we absolutely do storylines, and at least for the past couple of years, we have really concentrated on the characters and on the storylines.
That's very interesting. Like to keep fans engaged is a very challenging task. And if you have shows once in a month, then it probably means that your fan base is very dedicated, that they, stay tuned in month long, So how do you keep the fans engaged and keep them updated with the storyline? How does that happen?
Well, of course, we try to use social media as a tool, and we upload lots of videos on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. But we can never rely on just the social media, so we can't have any actual twists or turns to a storyline, they're gonna have to happen live. But I think month is quite a long time, but people still remember what happened on the last show, and we always do like a recap video of last time on FCF Wrestling. So before every show. So I think that's the key how people remember. And also if we have new people, like we have on every show, there's someone who hasn't been there before, so they can also see like, okay, a little bit of what has happened.
It sounds very interesting. So you have been wrestling for, about 5 years, and in such a short period, you have really created a buzz, and you have made a difference in the Finnish wrestling scene. And you're quite popular if you talk about social media. People know you, not just in Finland, but, across the world. And in the wrestling community, you are considered a top dog, of a small women's division. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes. Yes, I am the top dog of I think not just the Finnish female wrestling, but in the Finnish wrestling as a whole. Yeah.
Do you think that you would, prosper more if there were like better competition?
We are getting good competition here, and I think traveling also helps, because then you get to work with different kind of people and train with different kind of people. But I wouldn't say, I think there are still people who in Finland who some would say are technically better than me. So there's still something I can work on. So, I mean, it was sad when I started, we really didn't have a women's division. So that's something I kind of had to build myself kind of. So, but now we're on whole, like we're intergendered. Our whole product is intergender, so we don't have a women's division and a men's division.
It's interesting you brought up intergender, because I was just going to ask you that I have heard that you actually fought to make intergender wrestling a thing in Finland. Can you tell me something about that?
Yeah, well, it actually started when there was only 2 women in Finland. There was a lot of shenanigans going on, like backstage and everywhere. So both of us refused to wrestle for almost a year, because they wouldn't let us fight each other. Right. And the reason for that was because she's transgender.
Right.
And so she's the only transgender female wrestler in Europe, actually, Jessica Love. So we had to fight to get that, and that's not an intergender match. It's just it's just a women's match. But the people who were making the decisions didn't see it that way, and that was so transphobic and horrible. But we finally got that match. We did our feud, and I think after we did that feud, we kind of put the females where the guys are, and so that's how we kind of broke the barrier and got after that feud, we started wrestling with guys and everyone, and now we have the biggest female roster in the Nordic countries history at the moment. So yeah, it's been a long road.
Incredible. Like when people talk about, women's wrestling and the pioneers of women's wrestling, people usually talk about, stars like Charlotte and Sasha Banks and, Bailey, but people don't really, get to know about the unsung heroes like yourself, who are the true pioneers, doing something like that. You basically paved the way for so many transgender wrestlers in Finland and in Europe. It's incredible.
We did a lot of work with Jessica with that, and I think there's so many like women in the indies that have done so much for women wrestlers. But of course, when the WWE does it, then everyone is going to see it, and that's why it was so important that they did.
That's true. So you talking about transgender wrestling. There is a lot of debate going on in the wrestling community. Some fans are for it, some fans are against it, especially because of what AEW is doing with Nyla Rose. What do you have to say to the critics about that?
Do you mean about transgender women wrestling with women?
Right.
Is that the question?
That is
Well, they're women. So, I mean, if we had Nyla Rose, who is a transgender woman, she's a woman. She's gonna wrestle with women. So that's incredibly transphobic that people have not let that happen before. But saying that, I don't think gender should matter in wrestling. I mean, I'm a proud female wrestler, and I don't mind when people say that I'm female wrestler. That's what I identify as. But I don't think gender should be in a way of storyline, for example. So I think men, women, non-binary, everyone should be able to work storylines together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I can agree to that because if you look at wrestling, it is kind of a performance art. And
yes,
it should not be, well, you're correct. I agree with you. So do you think that there should be a unisex title? Like they should stop the whole tradition of having different titles for men and women, and there should be just one title for all?
I mean, that's an interesting thought. That could be a possibility, but I don't think it's harmful to have a women's title or like a main title. But I think there could be a unisex title as well, and I think some promotions could have only unisex titles, like we do in FCF Wrestling. It's
Really?
like all of our tournaments and all of our titles are unisex.
Really?
So yes.
Incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So I have heard that you're also a fan of the drag culture. Can you tell us something?
I am. Well, I mean, I think it's very basic to a lot of women and people around the world. I found RuPaul and RuPaul's Drag Race on Netflix, and I got hooked. And I've watched everything I can find on them. Right. And I just take so much inspiration from that because they're all characters, and there's so much like wrestling gimmicks. So there's a lot you can kind of take to your own characters or your own promos, for example. So yeah, I love drag.
So there is this promotion in New York. It's called A Matter of Pride, and it is all about like LGBT community and LGBT wrestlers. It's pretty cool. They also have drag community in their wrestling. It's a very cool promotion. Would you ever like to be a part of the promotion?
I mean, I would love to be, but I'm not. I don't belong in that community. I'm just an ally. But I mean, of course, if they want me there, or at least I have to see one of their shows sometime. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of New York City, you were there at WrestleMania 35 when the women main evented the show.
I was, yes.
How was your experience? What did you feel?
I think I cried during the whole show. It was so emotional. And like today I was watching the evolution of women in WWE from the past 5 years. I keep rewatching them and I still get the chills and I still get emotional because it's been when I was a kid and I was watching WWE, I didn't have that kind of representation. Right. So it's just incredible seeing where they have gone. And yeah, WrestleMania 35, I mean, of course I had to be there for the first ever women's main event. Right. And I also got to see Beth Phoenix, who is like a huge idol for me as well. So yeah, and Kofi Mania also, like that was just I think it was an incredible mania to be a part of.
WrestleMania 35 was really incredible. I was there as well, but it so happened that I was sitting in the section where they had the employees. And honestly, that sucked because when you're sitting with the employees, they're not fans. They're just employees. Right. And you don't really get to cheer or, I mean, I was sitting on the floor, but it was a horrible experience because you don't really get to fans. It was like I'm sitting at home with no fans around me. It was horrible.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 35 was truly magical. We saw Batista's last match and all that stuff.
Yes, I love Batista as well. I can't believe I forgot to mention him. Sorry.
But who is your favorite WWE superstar of the current generation?
Charlotte Flair. Absolutely. I think she's the best wrestler in the world right now. She's amazing, like unbelievable, incredible.
I mean, she's done everything.
She's so precise and so detailed. I can't even.
That is true. So, would you like to wrestle Charlotte Flair in the WWE? I mean, I think that's an obvious question, but would you?
Kind of. Yeah. Of course, I would have to say yes if that opportunity ever presented itself. But I also believe in not meeting your heroes. So I think
that's why I asked that.
Yeah. So kind of. I also enjoy just watching her from afar, and she can be that idol for me.
You know, it's very funny because at the start of the interview, you mentioned one thing about the people of Finland is that they're very humble. And the more we talk, the more I can see that. You're very kind. So,
you.
Apart from wrestling and all that stuff, do you have some other interests? Because for me, I'm a very boring guy. I love wrestling, and that's about it. What about you?
I mean, I feel like wrestling is really what defines my personality and my life, like mostly. Right. But I do try to like find inspiration from other things as well for wrestling. So I think everything is kind of connected to it. But actually, my newest obsession that I have had for the past year is the Wicca culture and paganism. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to learn witchcraft. Last night I like ordered some new stuff for my altar and.
Really?
Yes.
I asked that question. I was expecting something like, I love, watching Netflix. I love, cooking. I did not expect witchcraft. That is, wow.
Yeah, I'm also a witch.
That is, wow. Can you tell me a little more about it? How does it work?
Well, I'm very new to it. So, like I said, like only for a bit over a year. But I've been reading so much about it and building my altar, and I would say I'm like a secular witch. So I don't pray to any gods, for example. It's very much about just appreciating nature and appreciating the earth, and being mindful in everything you do in life. So I think that was very helpful for me to kind of find something to calm my brain out, calm my brain down. So yeah, wow. That's kind of, it's very close to meditating, but it's a lot of spells and such as well.
But you don't hate Muggles, do you?
I mean, I don't, hate is a strong word.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I see where you're going with that. Okay, you know what? Maybe you should teach me something about witchcraft, because I've always been intrigued, but I've also been scared. Yeah. So maybe, you know, maybe after some master of witchcraft, tell me a little about it. Yeah. Get me into it.
Yeah, we'll arrange something.
All right, let's switch gears and let's go back to your childhood, more innocent part of your life. Let's talk about your childhood. How was it growing up? What were you into? Were you into wrestling, or were you into, Harry Potter or something? I think you were into both, but tell me.
Yes, exactly, into both. Yeah. Well, I found wrestling when I was 10, so it's been really a big part of my life for almost as long as I can remember. Right. But I also I played basketball I started when I was 5 years old, and I played until I started. I did love Harry Potter. I read the books twice. I read them in Finnish and in English. Okay. It's very different kind of experience, because also the translator for the books was she was great. Like it's a bit of a different world when you read it in a different language. Okay. And yeah, listening to Michael Jackson, I think that was that.
I love Michael. Oh God, I love Michael so much.
Oh yes.
I just got goosebumps because I can relate so much with you. The only thing, I'm not a wrestler, but wow, so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Cool. Very cool. So growing up, did you imagine yourself, becoming a wrestler when you grow up, when you were a child? Did you ever imagine that? A wrestler, a singer, or a witch? What would have been the most, like that, okay, this is what I'm going to be? What was in your mind that time? Or did you not think of anything?
I was going to be a wrestler. I never thought of any other career path or anything. Like, even when they asked us in school what we're going to be, I was always just going to be a wrestler. I never made any other plans or anything. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to be a wrestler, and I think I've said this before as well, but there wasn't wrestling in Finland when I was a kid. I found it when I was around 16 years old or something. But before that, I always thought that I would have to move to Canada to become a wrestler. So I was like just waiting for my 18th birthday to get the hell out and start wrestling. But I didn't have to do that. I got to start here. So
you did not even start, did not only start, but you also built it somehow. I mean, you created a big.
Yeah, I mean, that was not my plan at first. I kind of just it was a very selfish approach for me when I started, because I just only saw like myself and how I wanted to be a better wrestler and where I wanted to be, where I wanted to go. But then I think, and also the promotion here in Finland and the culture around it, it wasn't very. It wasn't something that I really was that eager to be a part of anyway. So it was only until we started to slowly make the change, and now we're a totally different promotion than we were then. So I think kind of like when the development was happening is when I kind of started making like an emotional connection to the promotion itself, and then to the other wrestlers and how it worked. And then I started to build the women's division as well. And now they're all my babies.
Beautiful, incredible. So since the very beginning, you knew that you were going to be a wrestler. So I'm pretty sure that you actually announced to your family that, hey, this is what I'm going to pursue as my career. Was there any surprise, or they were like, we knew it?
They knew it, yeah. I've been performing my whole life, like doing just random performances for my family. I did it with my sister and my cousin, but yeah, I don't think it was too much of a surprise, because that's all I ever talked about and all I ever did. So yeah, there was no pushback.
You must be very proud of all that you've achieved and that all that you're gonna achieve. It's incredible. It really brings a tear to my eye. Like, your story is really something.
Thank you. And also, my mom is my biggest fan. She has seen all of my matches that I've had in Finland, and she's always there, and she's always buying my merchandise, and like, she's great.
That's beautiful. So before you finally made your wrestling debut, how long ago did you start training for it?
I trained for about 9 or 10 months before I had my debut.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy for me, because I've done a lot of different kind of sports in my life, but wrestling is by far the hardest sport I've ever done. And it's not even just a sport, so that's the tricky part. Right. So kind of physically learning how to wrestle and understand the match structure and understand the characters and the storytelling and the crowd interaction and everything. It felt like after the first 9 months of training, and then I'm gonna get my debut, I felt like I understood nothing of wrestling. So, and also even though I had been watching wrestling my whole life, right. It's so different when you have to look at it from the creating aspect.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So did you ever, while training, did you ever have second thoughts?
No, and I think that's because I just decided it's what I'm gonna do. So I sucked. I completely sucked for the first couple of years of my career. And of course, I was hurt all the time, not injured, but just in pain all the time. But no, I just never thought of anything. Like, I never thought I even had a choice. So yeah.
Whenever you criticize yourself, it keeps reminding me that, okay, this is a person from Finland that I'm talking to. Very, very humble.
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching like different wrestlers interviews, and the way they talk about their matches and stuff, it's so weird to hear, because whenever someone asks about my matches, I always say they were bad, or at maximum they were okay. But like, I don't think I've ever done anything good in wrestling.
Now I don't believe you. You said that it's a Finnish thing to be so humble, but I think it's just your thing. Like, who can be so humble? I've never seen anyone so humble.
Honestly, it's a Finnish thing. We have some weird people who don't do this, but it's a very cultural thing. Believe me.
It kind of reminds me of a quote from Steve Jobs, and he once said that, stay foolish and stay hungry. And that's what I can see a lot of people, very hungry for more success, to be better. And that's incredible. Actually, when people look at wrestlers, they see this glamour and they see the lights, the camera, the action, but they don't really realize how hard it can be to be a wrestler and how the life isn't always very luxurious. So can you tell us something, before the pandemic, how was your schedule? How busy was it? Is like wrestling your main thing, you training in wrestling, or did you also do another job on the side?
Yeah, we can't support ourselves with wrestling in Finland. It's not possible. So we all have jobs on the side. So basically we do a regular 8-hour day, and on top of that, we do the training, we do the matches, we do the storylines. We have to develop. Sorry, English, not good. Our own characters and everything. And on top of that, I'm also running the promotion with a couple of guys here. So there's a lot of, work around the venues and the shows and everything. I'm also the head trainer in Finland, so in FCF Wrestling. So I'm coaching a lot and I'm training a lot. So I wish I got paid for doing all this. I'd be rich. But yeah, it doesn't pay well in Finland. But we're getting better. So I think maybe there is a future where people can get paid better here for wrestling.
So, the future is there for Finnish wrestling for sure. But what do you think your future is? What promotion? I'll be specific. What promotion is on your radar right now? If we talk about major promotions, there's of course WWE in the US, then there's UK NXT, there's NJPW, AEW, and so many more promotions. Which one is the next on your radar?
Actually, next on my radar is Pro Wrestling Eve in London. It's an all women's promotion, and I think after that, I would love to get an opportunity to go for Shimmer. So I think, those two are my next. Shimmer has been on my radar since I started. Pro Wrestling Eve is actually quite new to me. I've been only watching them for 2 years, but I'm very interested in female wrestling right now, and I'm just visiting all female training camps, all female promotions and such.
Right. So, going back to the training part, and I'm going to ask you about your signature move. One of your signature move, I believe, is the punt kick.
Yes.
How long did it take for you to practice it? I know that it can get very dangerous. That move in particular can be very risky.
Yeah.
How long how long did it take for you, to actually expertise, on that move?
Yeah, it took quite a while. I actually, because I have a martial arts background as well, I did kickboxing for 4 years before I started wrestling. So I was very careful with all my strikes when I started. I was very nervous about hurting people. I don't have that anymore. I'm not nervous about that. But yeah, because of that, I'm very careful with the kicks and such. But also I'm used to controlling my body, so that was kind of I knew I wanted to have the punt kick. It was just a matter of when I can do it perfectly. But I mean, of course, there's still accidents happen. Someone is feeding a bit wrong, or whatever. So sometimes it hurts. Not gonna lie.
I can already tell that you are a very safe worker. But have you ever come across somebody who was not so safe in the ring?
Yes. Do you want me to name names? Is this the time?
I'm sure you don't want any heat, so I'm not going to ask you to name names. But how do you deal with an unsafe worker? Do you also give them a taste of their own medicine, or what?
I've only come across with one unsafe worker in my career, and I think it was around 2016. So I had only been wrestling for a year.
Wow. Okay.
So I didn't know what to do really. I tried to give her a receipt, okay, that was a bit too rough, but then she just kind of hit me back even harder. And yeah, I had I don't know what the word is in English, but I was all bruised up everywhere. My face was bruised and my chest was bruised. And both the kind of the muscles of my jaw were.
That's terrible.
Because I don't know the words in English now, but because they are protecting the bone, they will kind of go to this kind of a stiff mode, which kind of makes them makes it very painful. But gladly, I didn't have any broken bones, even though she kicked me right in the teeth and everything. It was horrible. It was not a good match. It was not a good match.
Wow.
But yeah, I've noticed that she's still working a lot, and then sometimes I just see pictures of her opponents also very bruised, and I don't understand how she gets the work, but I mean, I understand why, but I don't think it's fair.
But people like that are not going to go too far in the wrestling business, I believe.
No.
That's sad. I mean, I'm pretty sure she takes out her frustration in the ring.
Yeah, probably, and maybe she just wasn't trained properly. So I don't know.
So, so you, of course, you must have grown a lot since the first time you competed in the ring and now. What changes do you see in yourself, in all these 5 years?
Well, of course, I'm a lot more confident now. Right. And basically, when I from my first match, I've always been creating my own matches. So I've always been the one scripting the matches as well. So it didn't take long that I started to lead in my matches as well. And I think just in the past 2 years, I've kind of taken that role that I'm kind of always the leader, or at least either I'm the leader or it's a 50-50 match. Let's say that. But yeah, I think the confidence and finding the character and finding my voice in the ring, in my promos and everything. So, because I think I was very quiet, and I tried to keep it quite realistic when I started, and now I don't do that. I'm very much a cartoon character villain more. So I enjoy that. So yeah, I think everything has changed when I started, but yeah, I think finding my own voice would be the most important.
Incredible. I mean, just 5 years of experience, and you already do so much. It's beyond incredible. I came across a post on your Instagram, which was, I believe, there was a series called "I Am Also" series, where
Yeah.
said that I am also an advocate. But after this interview, I have this feeling that it's an understatement. You're an advocate. You are a match producer, as you could say. You are a wrestler. You are a true warrior. So much more. Of course, a witch. So much more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna apologize if I'm like acting like a total fanboy, but you're incredible.
Thank you. Oh, it's so hard taking any compliments, so I'm just awkwardly laughing.
So, talking about fanboys, I'm going to talk about fanboying over wrestling. As a kid,
Yeah.
the fact that I loved about wrestling were its entrances and its music and the glamour. I loved
Yes.
it. What is your favorite part about wrestling? Is it the scripting? Is it the, because you do a lot more than just wrestling. You're working backstage.
Yeah.
You're working in front of the camera. You're working, you doing the entrances, cutting promos. What is your favorite part?
I do love the entrances as well. I love the characters, and I love the larger than life thing that is wrestling. So I think that would be my most important. I'm very concentrated on my aesthetics as well. I love that my makeup is on point, my hair is on point, my everything has to be sparkly and on point. But yeah, I think the characters and the stories, that's the most important thing in wrestling.
It's very, very cool. And speaking of character, I mean, during this interview, I can tell that you're a total baby face. But what do you? but I know that you can also be a very, very good heel. I can just tell. So, what do you like to play, a heel or a baby face?
I've loved working heel. Now I've been heel for the past 3 years. I feel like I can express myself more. I have more freedom working as a heel. But also, I've only been babyface when I started. So the whole start of my career was very awkward. I think everyone's beginning of their careers is awkward, but that's the only time I've been face. So I think if I had to do a turn, I would be a better babyface now than I was then. But yeah, I enjoy the heel work too much to make a turn.
I'm pretty sure that fans are gonna love you as a heel. I'm sure that they do. I can tell you're gonna be a great heel. But it's hard being a heel when you're a baby face in real life. Because I know you're a baby face in real life. Like, you can't break the character anymore. You've already broken it. So
it's actually super easy. It's barely an inconvenience.
okay.
I mean, yeah, I feel like the heel character is closer to my own persona, but now that I've been doing a lot of the activism and a lot of the building up the women's division and building up other wrestlers, I feel that people might actually take me in as a babyface now as well. But
Right.
But yeah, I think being heel is more natural.
So you brought up the women's division, and that brings the question about the speaking out movement. That was, you must be aware of it. It was.
Yes.
So what do you think? So the US and UK, we came to know a lot about what's going on in the industry. What do you think about Finland? Is Finland, wrestling industry safer for women as its counterparts?
Now it is. It wasn't before.
Really?
But in the work that we have done in FCF wrestling is incredible. We have made it safer for all genders, and sexualities and races, and we try to keep it as inclusive and as feministic as we can. It's been a long process because it's very against a lot of like old school wrestling habits. So it's been a long road, and there's still a lot of work ahead. But yeah, I think the speaking out movement has been very necessary.
Absolutely. So, of course, in Finland, wrestlers are treated equally, and that's a beautiful thing. But as a fan, as a viewer of wrestling, especially like if you talk about WWE specifically, these days they have women wrestlers from all over the world. They have Japanese wrestlers. They have people from all over the world. They have people from different races, different sizes, everything. But do you, as a fan, do you feel that they actually treat all the women equally in the WWE?
No. No, they do not. I love that there's, like I said, when I started watching wrestling, it was just one type of woman presented.
Yeah.
Just the one type. Cool. So the diversity that they have now is incredible. But I would hope to see more different sizes of women, more women of color being champions, for example.
Right.
So I think there's still work to do, but I think they are going into the right direction. I hope they keep up the good work.
I honestly
not stop.
Honestly, for myself, I feel like WWE is in such a position where sometimes they are forced to do things that they don't want to do, and when they do it, they don't really do it to the fullest. And I can talk about so many things. I can talk about, the Saudi Arabia deal. I can talk about, of course, I hate what they did with the Black Wednesday. I can talk about the masks. I don't know why they don't want the fans to wear the mask, but there are a few things about WWE that does not make it the best promotion in the world right now. What, according to you, is the best promotion out there at the moment? Like the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, if there is any.
I mean, I hate to say it's still WWE because they have the biggest fan base. They have the biggest following. So that's why whatever they do, that's kind of what wrestling is in the world.
True.
Unfortunately.
Fortunately.
But I don't know. It's not the product that I enjoy myself most, but I do think they still hold the number one spot there.
You're right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So, as we're nearing the end of the interview, I'm going to make it a little fun, all right? Since you've been wrestling for 5 years, I'm going to ask you a rapid fire round, and I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and they're going to be based on number 5, all right? So.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. Number 1 question. 5 reasons you love wrestling.
Characters, aesthetics, storylines, physicality, interaction.
Okay. 5 things you would like to change in the current wrestling environment.
Sexism, transphobia, homophobia, racism, and that's my ultimate 4. I'm sorry. I can't find the 5th.
I'm going to come up with the 5th one right after this round. 5 countries you would love to wrestle in.
Ooh. Okay. USA, Japan, Norway, Germany, and Mexico.
Oh, interesting. Okay. 5 match types that you would like to try.
Hell in a Cell.
Oh, okay.
Submission match. Hardcore match.
Wow.
Last man standing. and 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 Iron Man.
Iron Man, wow. A 60-minute Iron Man match. Cool.
Sure.
Interesting. And okay, the last question. If you had 5 wishes, what would they be?
5 what? Sorry?
5 wishes.
5 wishes. Okay. I would wish health for my family. I would wish this is very hard because that's like the most noble wish I can come up with, and the next ones are like I wish for new shoes. I wish and I wish for more women in power. I wish for a new president for United States. I wish for more happy cats in the world, and I wish that I could do a moonsault one day.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
I'm not sure of it at all.
Of course, you have done so much. You've changed the landscape of wrestling in Finland. You've literally changed the whole, way that the wrestling happened in the country. And moonsault is nothing. So of course you can do it. Pretty sure about it. Well, these were all great wishes. And so you mentioned, the things that you would like to change about the wrestling environment.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up the 5th one. That's xenophobia. I think that exists. It's not out there.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Well, look, every time there's like a Russian character or like an Indian character in the WWE, he's always a bad guy. If he's not a bad guy, he's portraying the stereotype. I think that's ridiculous. So,
yeah,
xenophobia.
True. That's the 5th.
I lied to you. I'm a little curious guy. I said I'm going to ask you 5 questions. I'm going to ask you one more, the 6th question, because I'm very curious and I'd love to know more about you. So, if tomorrow you are offered a contract to be a career referee with one of the major promotions in the world, but the thing is that you would have to give up your in-ring career for that, would you take that offer?
No, I'm not ready to give up my wrestling yet.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. I knew that you would say that. I just had to ask. Brilliant answers. So, Regina, it was such a fun interview. I do not want to end this. I do not want to, really. But is there anything that you would like to say to the fans that are listening to you right now? And maybe your new fans, because I'm sure after this interview, many people are going to like you.
I mean, gosh, if you do like me, then go give me a follow on social media. Right. Everywhere. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at @2Regina. And also follow my promotion FCF Wrestling in social media. We're a very interesting promotion. Like I said, we're inclusive. We're doing a feministic work to make this a better place for everyone. So I think you would be interested to see it.
Beautiful. So do you have an advice for any of the young ladies listening to this interview right now who are curious about wrestling but they're not so sure? Do you have any advice for them?
I think you just have to try it to know. Like if you're curious about how the ring feels and if you can do it, just try it. I mean, there's nothing to lose. And I know there are a lot of promotions that are, shit, and you do not want to go there. But there are also a lot of good ones that will actually teach you how to wrestle and be safe. So go give it a try. We need more women.
Beautiful. Regina, it was such a pleasure talking to you. You are truly incredible. Wow, there's so much to like about you. Incredible. And I can't wait to see you on my TV screen, soon. And I'm sure it's going to happen very, very soon.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Wait. I'm a curious guy, so I'm going to ask you one more question. Yeah.
Okay.
So sorry. Okay. You brought up witchcraft. Do you ever, want to include that into your wrestling gimmick?
I mean, I did that a little bit. I had a feud with a guy named a feud with the tag team with Yami Aldo and Make Smooth. They were the Smooth and Stone connection. So I started to haunt one of the guys. So I would kind of appear in his apartment in different scenarios, and my laugh would just echo around. And
Right.
I did that a little bit, but now we have a female witch in our roster at Pandora, so I'm not gonna step on her toes. I'm just gonna keep on being the queen.
Are you gonna use your witchcraft on her so she just, disappears, like in reality?
No, because we need more women, so I will not. And she's my sister witch, so
Okay.
she can have it.
Beautiful. Regina, we have to do an interview soon, purely about the witchcraft and the art of witchcraft. I'm very. So you have to promise me that interview, yeah?
I can promise you, but like I said, I'm just a novice. I'm not.
That is fine. I know. Tell me something like, you can make me John Cena tomorrow, I'll probably believe it. So yeah, let's do that.
Sure. Let's do it.
Thank you, Regina. It was such a pleasure. This is probably one of my best interviews. It was like I couldn't stop laughing. Thank you so much. You're incredible, and I cannot wait to see you on the television. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And this brings us to the end of episode 5, featuring the IC Wrestling Queen of Finland, Regina Rosendahl. Don't forget to follow Regina on social media. Her username is @2Regina. And don't forget to tune in to the Wrassingh Show next Tuesday and every Tuesday after next Tuesday, and as we will bring to you more stories from wrestling stars and talent all across the globe. Thank you so much, and if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to share it with your friends and family, and we will see you next week.